Welcome back to the lower bracket. Here is the match we are about to watch. Henken, Lawler, Fane, Yurovsky. Deployer has obviously made the executive decision that you do not need to see us anymore. Frankly, fair. You know, I mean, all of our egos are far too large already, far too vain. You know, that's right. I'm looking at the three.
I thought that was us. I thought that was 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 voices that you hear right now.
Ah, yeah. Dibs on Fane.
I'm Lawler.
Yeah. I'll take whoever's left.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's
Pingu's got to be
for.
Well, actually, no. Pingu could really be from most
really
of those
be
countries.
From, yeah, absolutely.
There
Yeah.
aren't even penguins in the northern hemisphere. Penguin would be none of them. What?
Correct. Yeah, that's true. Australia may be one of the few countries in this entire tournament bracket that has a claim to penguins.
Yeah.
So
we got the
I guess some of the South Americans as well. Argentina, they have penguins in Argentina, I think, right?
Yeah, I meant more just the climate, but you know.
Well, yeah, but like, you know, get it right. Yeah, if Newt Newt was a great og, for example, then we could start talking about like the northern.
Just shut up. Cool.
Yeah, clearly you're not allowed to have an opinion here, Twiggy.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about the matches. I mean, there are some interesting things going on in this lower bracket. Not in necessarily the match we're watching, but you know, we just watched Shainimi drop to that lower bracket, Max. He is running into Levon and Lingo, which I think that's going to be tough. I think potentially a very tough match for the North Americas in general. You have Canada and US, Lingo and Fegley up against Shainimi and Levon. That could be tough.
Yeah, it feels a bit brutal, but I guess it's just the nature of the beast when you get further and further in these types of events, right? Like we saw before, like Estonia probably not happy with the matchup they have coming up as well. I mean, the match 6, Mi Cuatro, is about to do very unfortunate things potentially to Poland because
damn.
on point and,
whoa, that's not in the spirit of the Trackmania games.
That
at all.
phrasing, that phrasing right there.
Unfortunate things to all of Poland. My lord.
Yeah. Hey, that is
Watch out for Finland.
John. Paul is
Watch out
also
for
in that as well. Yeah,
Nua, keep your casters in line.
I can't. Okay, listen. You've also gotten the power. You're host question mark at this point, Twiggy. All right. What do you have to say about the lower bracket?
It's great. But the thing is, right? We've got to have we got to go through some troughs to get to the peaks.
Yes. Yeah. Twiggy's mogging again. I don't know how to stop it. That's, I mean, Razzie, Coco, Pika, and Ignite also a banger match. The 2 Dutch match, Justin Pupor against Loudus and Garikul. I mean, I do feel like that match, G-Geek, I'm kind of expecting the 2 Dutch players to get through. But there is a lot of these matches where it's maybe a little bit tough to call who's actually going to make it further in this lower bracket.
Yeah, exactly. Although on this match you see Pupor, Loudus could give Pupor a run for his money, at least from first glance. But yeah, you talk about match 6. Mi Cuatro, Paul, Key, Tomshan. This is probably one of the highlight match that one could potentially watch out for. There's Razzie, Coco, Pika, Ignite as well. That's looking very stout. It's hard to pick from. It's hard to pick from. We're at the stage where every match is class. Yeah,
I gotta stop us here because we are about to read out every match in the lower bracket, and we don't have time for that because our match is starting. All of these matches are great. The one we picked is also going to be great. We're throwing it straight into match. Formal and G-Geek, enjoy it.
Thank you very much, Nua. And yeah, so that's Nero, Lawler, Henkan, and Fane. We didn't even get the time to get into predictions, and I don't think we're going to get time to get into predictions before the end of the warm-up because it ends. Or actually, we do. I'm thinking Nero 1, Henkan 2nd. What's your pick? What's your pick? What's your pick? Sorry.
I'm thinking. Well, I'm not touching that one. I'm not even going to go that far. But I am thinking. It's tough. This is a tough heat. I think Lawler gets through. I want to believe in Lawler on this one. Okay. And you know what? Give it to Fane. I'm just going to go the opposite too. I want to see Lithuania. Right. They're getting that representation here. Let's see what they can bring.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. I think that's fine with everybody. I guess we covered both sides of the match. In the meantime, round 1 is underway, and I guess we can say home ground advantage because it is on Chiaroscuro that Nero gets a solid start. Half a second, 6/10 now compared to Henkan, who's currently sitting in 2nd position. Fane around a 10.5 down compared to Henkan sitting in P3, and Lawler, unfortunately for him, finding himself half a second to a second down actually. in P4. As we go over the ramp to road transition, nicely negotiated on the part of the top 2 and top 3, following along with Fane right now, trying to keep tabs with Henkan a little bit further up ahead, as we see Neuro going very close to the wall on the inside, and he will be clocking in a .865, and a great snipe by Fade by 16 milliseconds to claim second place for himself, and does claim 6 points instead of 4.
And he was about like 30 or 40 milliseconds behind coming off the launch right there. Fane, though, able to get the correct line, able to bring himself across. That's what we want to see. And, you know, something else that I kind of wanted to touch on real quick at the end of that panel before we like got into the matchup, Geek, specifically in relation to you. Everyone always talks about how you kind of need like a podcast 3-4 people to kind of like break everything down. I reckon we could put you behind a microphone and just be like, here's a list of every single player's 2-hour pre-show, break everyone down. I am always impressed by the knowledge of how you can just run through every single one. So keep being you. It's sick.
Knowledge is a big word, to be completely honest. Sometimes it can be a little bit throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks kind of deal. Whenever I try to rattle off some names and some achievements that each player has done. Unfortunately, what Neuro has done has unfortunately clipped the inside wall before checkpoint number 7, and will thus drop down to P4. And that's an opportunity for Lawler, the Norwegian player, to move into the lead with a 1/10 of a second of a lead over Fane, and he will be able to claim the 10-pointer with a .880, 92 milliseconds ahead of Fame, Henkan in 3rd, and Neuro in 4th. And yes, it is Lawler. Sorry for my mouth kind of deciding to have a little bit of a stroke midway through, but yeah, sometimes it does happen, especially when English is non-native to me. Just I'm a big getting this out of the gate. I got that out of the gate years ago, but I'm not an English-speaking person at heart.
Yeah, and yet I have to ask you how to pronounce some of these names, all right? And English is the only language I know, so what does that say on my end? Look, Lawler, very bit of a good comeback round after getting P4 in the first one. Now they're falling back a bit, but so too is Neuro. So instead, it's a Fane show at the moment. Fane's getting those good exits, starting to build a bit of a gap. Henken right behind, but yeah, it looks like they may have clipped the inside wall right there. So they're now gonna drop out of this one. And through 3 rounds, it's been 2 P2s for Fane. They've been looking the most consistent nonetheless. They've been looking the cleanest, and now they have a chance to put 10 points in their favor. It's going to be Neuro who's going to be close to chasing him down. Neuro is going a little bit wider. If they get a good snap, which they do, they should have the speed. Now they go for something a bit more inside into the ghost of the car. They're tight. They're faster. They get the better launch, and Neuro's going to snipe Fane by 53 thousandths of a second.
Great setup for the final corner on the part of Neuro. You could see him being able to go a little bit tighter, a little bit closer to the apex on that long negative camber left-hander, might I add, to be able to carry a little bit extra speed all the way through and thus get the win by 53 milliseconds at the stripe. As we go on to round number 4, the final round of this opening rotation here on Chiaroscuro. We're going to be circling back to that map later on in the game, and it will be Lawler with a very solid start, moving into the lead. The Norwegian player 47 milliseconds ahead of Neuro, but Neuro comes back at him, and everybody regroup within a 1/10 of a second. First through 4th, 87 milliseconds at the split of checkpoint number 4. Going into the downhill part and then approaching that left-hander, which can be a little bit of a blind approach, especially if you're playing camera 1, before going onto the right-hander before checkpoint 6. Neuro has retaken the lead, a 1/10 and a half ahead of Fane, who's trying to sprint away from the group of Lawler and Henkan, trying to keep tabs on the battle for second place right now as we go into sector 3. Checkpoint 8, the ramp transition goes a little bit too far off on the left-hand side for Fane, manages to get away with it though without losing too much time, goes a bit wide on the way to checkpoint number 10. Lawler may be there to pick up the spoils as we go very far inside on the part of the Norwegian. Fane versus Neuro at the line, and for 1 millisecond, Neuro resists the assault of the Lithuanian player. .927 versus a .928. Neuro sticks it on the racetrack and grabs another 10-pointer.
I feel for Fane right now. Turn that F into a P. It would be pain at the end of those rounds, because that was 4 P2s, Geek. Every single round, second place, the most consistent driver out there. Yeah, Neuro had the pace on him, but it feels like Fane was leading a majority of the rounds, let alone, you know, the only one to never bonk out, and yet they're in a tight battle for second place right now. Crazy finish, 1/1000th of a second. Doesn't get much closer than that, and we're only through the first track. So I was skeptical of this match at first. We all called it an interesting one, This is getting more than interesting. This is getting spicy, Geek. This is getting competitive, and this is what we want to see.
We're only map 1 in. We still have to wait what the other 2 maps are going to be offering on the track, which is going to be Surfside by Whiskey. A quick recap of the scores, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. Nero in the lead with 33. Not a bad haul, all things considered. 24 for Fane, as you said. 4 second places in a row. Really, really consistent showing for the man from Lithuania. Loler third with 21, and Henkan fourth with 14 as we go into checkpoint number 4. Solid attack of the starting sector there from Fane. Nero in second place, also keeping an eye on what the Lithuanian is doing. And of sector number 1, it will be Fane leading Nero by a 10.5. Loler 2 further tenths down in P3, and Hankon the first one to make a mistake, and then followed on by Fane with a very slight wall brush on the way towards checkpoint number 8 before the downhill right-hander, thus promoting Nero automatically up into the lead of the race with Loler 3 tenths down, now 4 tenths down as we go into the final sector and the final few checkpoints and corners. It looks to be a wrap-up on this round here for Nero as he makes the way towards the risky fin and collects 10 points. No! He aims way too low and does full stop picks in the bottom side of the risky finish, and look who's there to pick it up. It's going to be Loler with a .998 and 10 points on the board.
This is why you can't take any lead for granted, especially on these tech tracks. All 3 of them have pretty risky finishes. There was no reason, though, for Nero to attack that finish as aggressively as he did. He had a gap. He had the lead. It was going to be 10 points his way. And to be honest, I think the biggest beneficiary of all that was Henkin, who had another bad start and back in P4. Kind of needs anything they can get. But now there are 6 points separating first to third. And knowing that only 2 of them, at minimum, or maximum, I should say, will make it out of this heat. Yeah, this makes things very dramatic indeed. Start of the next round, though, it has been Fane out in front. Last time he bumped here, this time keeps it clean. A bit further back, Henkin trying to finally get himself, a spot in that top 2. He's going to go for a tighter line than Neuron, but that means less speed. That means no overtake just yet. Here is where things get tricky. Up the uphill, hit the transfer. This is where we can see big lead changes, and it is currently looking like Henkin might have something over Neuron. It's a fight for second place. Fane gets first, but P2, it's a tie, and it's not his lag, or is it? Yeah, it's Neuro who didn't get the finish again. The lag throws you off, but Henkin still got across in second.
May I correct you there? It was not a lag. That's 2 misfires, one mid-round and the other one. That's not a lag. That's just Neuro for the second round in a row, missing the finish outright. And actually, he hit the bottom of the first round. He hit the side pillar on the second round and was forced to respawn, thus prompting those very hefty points losses and throwing 2 first places in the bin, unfortunately, for Neuro. As we go into round number 3, it will be Fane with a great start, leading the race by about a 1/10 of a second, going into checkpoint number 5. Neuro in second and Loler in third. Look at the speed he's able to carry through checkpoint 6 and 7. The Norwegian player looking to actually make a bit of an impression here on the former match leader, because you can see Fane is now leading the match points-wise by a single point. And Neuro goes a bit wide, relinquishing that second place and offering it to Loler, who's going to try to run away with this thing in the last few corners. But look at Neuro, he's waiting to pounce. He's waiting in the winds, maybe waiting for a potential opportunity to open up with a mistake from the Norwegian. But no! For the 3rd consecutive round, Neurovski completely breaks the finish. Finishes down in P4, 5 seconds down, and Fane is halfway towards finalists.
Yeah, Fane is halfway there. Neuro, who was, at the end of the first map, very comfortably in P1, had a 10-point lead, I believe, on everybody else. It was 9 points. It was 33-24. Either way, they're now 1 point away from being in 3rd place, and 3rd place does not get you through. Lawler just kind of being the beneficiary of these mistakes. And now, as we start our 4th and final run here through Surfside, all right, well, goodbye, Lawler. You're not going to be involved in this one. I'm just wondering if Neuro is going to be able to hit the finish. That's going to be the big story. Now, Henkin finally has a lead. We haven't seen much of Henkin. I mean, he's a bit of a rough start. You can see they're 13 points back. Getting 10 points in this final stop would be great for them, but Fane has been the gem in this matchup, and it is Fane looking to chase down a bit tighter of a line than Henkin, even through the uphill turn. Now they go wide, deep on the transfer. They're going to have a lot of speed, but can they convert it in the uphill part? Well, they can if Henkin taps. Now Henkin could be in a bit of trouble. Fane is going to go for the finish. They come across. Neuro with the snipe finally gets the finish clean, grabs P2, Henkin 3, Lawler 4.
I gotta say, watching from the perspective of Neuro, Fane and Henkon's entry to the final few checkpoints, especially the jump into checkpoint 12, it was looking all sorts of all over the racetrack and then some. I thought for sure one of them was going to hit the wall at one point or another. It looked so on edge. They managed to keep it clean, and Neuro, at long last, managing to finally get the risky fin and get a snipe to boot to try and get some momentum back going his way. But let's just face the facts. That was an absolute shocker of a map 2 from Neuro, and he's going to be looking to get back on the saddle with Magneton up next.
And I'm going to pay attention to his points right now because, again, you're probably going to go through run rotation of the maps. If things are going as they are, Surfside is probably going to be where he would be expecting to hit the finals. And that means he's going to have to win that round. And if he's making mistakes on the finish like that, it could be a disaster for his chances in order to advance. So I'm happy he hit that last one. Yes, getting the snipe for second was good, but just hitting the finish, reminding yourself that you can, I think it's going to be more important when we visit Surfside again, because likely that's where Neuro is going to be trying to get himself into the next round of the lower bracket.
Round 1 out of 4, Magneton is underway. Quick score recap at the left-hand side of the screen. 60 for Fane, who's leading by 12 points from Neuro on 48. 44 for Lola, who's still in with a shot of making it through to the next phase of the lower bracket. And Henkon down in last place at 32. The Swede having a very rough start to this match as we go into sector number 2 here on round number 1. Lola in the lead by about a tenth to a tenth and a half from Fane and Neuro, who are battling for second. And look at the attack from Fane, the Lithuanian driver, looking to actually go on a charge, but he goes a bit too slow and goes for a clip into bonk, into another bonk. We go for the pinball machine effect here on the part of the Lithuanian, which is going to be relegating him down to P4. Henkon promoted up to third. Lola safe with a fair bit of room to breathe. 3/10 before the final corner, but he clips on the entry to the final block. Neuro will inherit the 10-pointer on a silver plate. 68 milliseconds behind. Lola manages to somewhat recover. Henkon in third, and Fane gets his very first big setback with 4th position.
I mean, still will be in first place, Fane, but yeah, Neuro, the beneficiary this time of everyone crashing at the end, and I mean, it hurts. It hurts for the Norwegian right now. Lawler, that was your chance to get yourself into that second place position in the running to get yourself out of this one. Now, again, you're going to have to put in the hard work and see what you can bring. Fane, another mistake at the start. This is not Fane's map, and that means open season for everybody else to try to chase the Lithuanian down, and it's Lawler and Neuro once again out in front, battling for that lead, wheel to wheel, the two in front, but a little bit more speed being held by Neuro. They're going to start pulling ahead. Don't count on Hankin yet either. It's going to be taking, well, somewhat of an aggressive line into the transfer. We'll see if they're able to catch. Lawler's the one with the speed, though, going through the uphills. They're starting to build a small gap for themselves. Tighter line for Neuro. They're going to get some speed on the uphill as well. Nice snap, nice setup. Only a couple turns left before the finish. Everything looking very strong for Neuro. It's a clean transfer, and it's a clean finish as well. Neuro goes back-to-back. That's 20 points in 2 for the Russian.
And Lawler and Neuro were basically locked ghost within ghost from Sector 2 onwards, and it's all a game of margins. Trackmania as a whole is a game of margins, but that particular round, it was all the little micro corrections, the all little brake taps to try and correct the trajectory of the car, especially on the way uphill, the long double left-hander before the final checkpoint. This is absolutely amazing what we saw. Neuro managing to come off the better for wear and retaking the points lead by 2 points from Fane as a result of that second round performance. In the meantime, going into round number 3, Fane does not encounter the cliff at the drop down from the start and will be leading the round for now, but he goes a little bit all over the racetrack and then some as he tries to fend off the attack from Henkon, and Neuro is patiently waiting in P3, just waiting for an opportunity to present itself and waiting to take advantage of a mistake, and here it comes with a bit too close of an approach to the apex of the corner from Fane. He's forced to respawn. Henkon promoted up into the lead now. Neuro promoted up to second and looking to go on the attack up against the Swede to try and get yet another 10-pointer for himself and get closer to finalists. But right now Henkon needs that 10-pointer as well to try and get himself off of the bottom of the leaderboard. As we go into the final corner, look at the speed from Neuro at the stripe. It will be Neuro by 32 milliseconds who clinches the win and the 10-pointer to move on to 78, past the 3/4 of the way towards finalist status. Henkon gave it a good go, but unfortunately came up just short. Fane salvages 4 points with P3, and Lawler having a shocker of a round, finishing 6.7 seconds down in P4.
I mean, you say Fane salvaged it. Fane almost got himself right back in that one, able to catch it back up, but unfortunately, it was another rough start for the Lithuanian. Big story, though, on this map. Neuro, 3 for 3 on round wins. 30 points has gone their way, and if they can take this one, a 40-point swing, well, that would put the Russian, I mean, well and truly in first place. They are currently in first place at the moment, but any sort of gap, again, they struggled on a Surfside, so they'd want to finish before they return to that map. Unfortunately, I don't think they're winning this one. Already over a second out. The battle is instead between Lawler and Fane. Lawler is tighter. Fane has more speed. Lawler is out. They're crashing. They're done skis. It's now Henkin, who also bonked. He's done skis. And Fane, well, it's all over except the crying at this stage for everyone else. Fane, he's going to take this one, I imagine, keep it somewhat safe, cross the line cleanly, although those are some tight apexes. Still gets the final transfer, still gets P1 with a pretty fast time. Neuro is gifted a P2 off the others' mistakes. Henkin 3, Lawler 4, and our top 2 now, Geek, are starting to pull away a bit at the end of that first sequence of maps.
And Fane getting to feel a little bit what Duroski felt a little bit earlier on during Surfside when the map really does not go his way. Only one really decent round out of 4 where he has just encountered problem after problem after problem after problem. As we're going to be circling back on Chiaroscuro, given what we've seen in the first rotation, is going to be again between Neuro and Fane. And Fane will be looking to improve that track record of second place consecutive in a row. Yeah. You get the idea of what I mean about that, but yeah, 24 points collected is certainly good, but he definitely needs at least one 10-pointer in there to make the fight that much more interesting versus Neuro.
Well, I'm trying. I need to see the points again, but I do agree. I mean, from a survival point of view, P2s, that's fine. That you'll be okay, but I don't think we've emphasized enough that we always go like, oh, that match looks difficult. Oh, that's unfortunate seeding. Well, that seeding is done by you. You finish second place instead of first. You get the tougher next match, right? Winning it gives you easier opponents, both in theory and in practice. So yeah, winning these heats does matter. And right now we're going to see if Fane, who I still think in the first 2 maps probably has looked like the stronger driver, if they're going to be able to make that comeback happen. I mean, they're only 4 points down, so it's not as if it's a big ask here, Geek.
Yeah, it's a big ask, and Neuro himself reckoned that he can only get one single second place finish at this point. Otherwise, he reckons it will be a death by whiskey map, in-game of course, as we go into round number 4 of the second rotation here on Chiaroscuro, and it will be Fane with a great start, emerging in the lead at the end of sector number 1 by a 10.5 from the battle for second place, currently led by Neuro, but he's got Henkan and Lawler in tow as we go up the left-hander, and 2 consecutive crashes, and it's going to be a disaster for Neuro. Lawler promoted up to second place, just 2 tenths down on Fane. Henkan has had a very big crash as well, but not nearly as damaging as the one from Neuro, who's going to be scrambling to try and salvage the situation as we see, oh, Fane, that was a very, very high entry into the ramp transition right there. He manages to make it work somehow as we go into the final corner. Lawler with a wall hit. Neuro with that salvatory second place that he can only afford to have once. Fane wins with a .717, Neuro second, Lawler in third, and Henkan down to 4th. Fane moves up to 90, and we have a tied, shared lead between Neuro and Fane, 90 points apiece, and Lawler looking very far behind on 66.
Yeah, Lawler and Henkin, they need to start winning rounds right now. And I don't know what I can say about Lawler, but Henkin definitely can afford to lose about, 67 ounces of weight on that car. Maybe it'll help give him the speed. I don't know. A bit too much going on with the name there. But jokes aside, it is the front. It is this battle. Fane and Neuro, they are fighting as if it's only first place advances. And I love seeing them go for it like that. Fane finally got the monkey off the back, finally won a round on this map, and I don't think they're done with just one. Neuro, though, tends to pick up speed on the second half, tends to start chasing drivers down, and we're seeing it here. Front to rear wheels starting to ghost into each other. Neuro getting ever closer, but Fane's lines are still good, still enough to hold them back, and now Fane actually starts to pull away a little bit. High on the transfer, is able to recover, and it actually looks like they gained some speed on that moment. Super high again through the uphill, super wide through these turns. Fane is going to have so much speed. They pull away to the jump, and if they stick the finish, they do. It's a Fane 1-2 with Neuro in second.
And Fane moves on to finalist, but look at the time that he just drove. .558. This is a stout time driven in rounds. Reminder, the world record, you can see it on the top left at 0.197, but driving within 4/10 of the world record is an absolutely stunning display of performance from Fane, who now has his one and only, I fear, uninterrupted attempt as the sole finalist status player here on this match. Round 3 out of 4 on this rotation of Chiaroscuro is underway. Fane retaking the lead before the end of Sector 1. Neuro in second. Henkan falling back way behind. In third, Loler completely out of it so far. In P4 going up the double left-hander, then snap back to the right. Look at the speed that Neuro was able to carry through. He will try to retake the lead in through sector number 2. He's continuing to go side by side with the man from Lithuania, trying to do the Baltics proud as we go through sector 3, checkpoint 8. Neuro to the lead, but by the skin of his teeth, 36 milliseconds as we go through the ramp transition onto checkpoint number 10. Who's going to carry the best speed into the final corner? Neuro with a bit of a lead as we go into the final corner. Fane tries all he can, but he will not prevent Neuro from denying him that finalist closeout. Neuro himself moves on to finalist status with a .707.
That was an incredible round. I thought Neuro had just clipped the inside on that last turn, but no, was able to keep it clean, keep that momentum through, and here we go. Now, we do know Surfside. Neuro had some problems there, so if Neuro wants to win this heat, I feel like this is going to be his best chance, pardon me, but I don't know. We'll see how that comes out. And I don't want to count the other two out yet. They're still very much in it. They can still play spoiler here. In fact, it's their best opportunity to do so again if they can find a way to make it happen. At the moment, though, all right, maybe I was a bit ambitious. It is the front two. 13 thousandths of a second through the first half of the track. So I make that 12 thousandths as they get ever closer. Neuro, though, a little bit too tight into the wall, and now Fane just has to keep it together. Henkin, though, can play spoiler. Not over yet. Can the Swede make something happen? They are falling a little bit further behind, but they're very fast through the uphill. If they can hold the speed through the transfer, maybe they can make up some ground, and Neuro is also starting to crawl back in. Okay, they're out. Hits the apex, they're done. It's all Fane, or is it? Hello, Henkin. Goodbye, Henkin. Way too much speed into the wall, and Fane will get first place in this lower bracket match.
.939. Noller emerges in second, and Neuro's worst nightmare has come true. He isn't finalist. He will not conclude finalist on his own map. And you know what that means. We're circling back to Surfside. And for those of you who were not with us earlier when we first played that map, a 25% success rate at the Risky Fin just tells the story for how Neuro's first rotation has gone. It is going to be a very, very important moment in this match for him to actually get back on the ball and get his eye in on those risky finishes, lest be afraid to see Loler especially come back. Currently sitting on 78, the Norwegian still very much has an open shot, considering what we've seen earlier on, to actually send Neuro out of competition.
I see this going one of two ways here, Geek. Either he gets it in the first round, monkey off the back, gets it clean, we're done, we're good, we're through, or complete mental boom, and we wind up going to the third map. Those are the only two possible options. See which one comes true.
Here we go then on to round number 1. Neuro with a solid start, but remember, this is always the last sector, which seems to prove to be the bane of the existence of the player from Russia, as we do see Loler with a clip that sends him into the pole on the outside, and one of the key contenders against Neuro is completely out of the running. It will be all down to Henkin now to try and keep the dream alive for Loler and for himself as well, of course, as we go into checkpoint number 9 in the start of sector number 3. Neuro still leading by 57 milliseconds going into the negative camber right-hander up the hill. The transition towards checkpoint number 12. Neuro emerging with a bit of a lead. He can try to maybe approach this a little bit more serenely, or can he? Henkan is there waiting in the wings as we go into the risky fit. He does get it on the first time of asking with a 54.702. The crisis is averted for Neuro, who makes it through to the next phase of the Tech Solo Tournament here in the Trackmania games. You gotta give still a round of applause for both Loler and Henkan, who gave it a run, who gave it all they could. Especially Loler, that was a very, very solid performance midway through the first rotation. Unfortunately, they were not able to really capitalize on all of this as they find themselves out of competition by the end of this round.
Hey, you know what, Geek? handshake. We each had a 50% success rate as well. Just kind of like, you know, the success rate's on the finish right there. We each got one across, so well done. But honestly, seeing the pop-off in chat when Fane was able to come across right there representing the Balkans, it felt like they were all,
the Baltics. The Baltics.
Baltics, sorry.
Very different region of the
Europe. Look, mate, it is nearly 2 in the morning here. All right, I have done 5 broadcasts over like 2 days. I am cooked. We're just gonna say words. Don't listen to them. All I want to say is SRK is the GOAT. And you know, big win for Fane, big win for Lithuania. I'm happy to see them get through.
All right, well, just as we have wrapped up this match, we're just gonna keep you waiting for a little bit because we have our following match is going to be going on. We are on going to be taking a look at server number 3, which is going to be Trolls, Kiwi, Javzo, and Zlotixo, which is currently going on right now. We are on the warm-up towards Magneton now, and you can see the scores at the left-hand side of the screen. Trolls and Kiwi first and second with a pretty hefty margin over Javzo, who doesn't seem to have gotten into his match so far.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shocker, actually, to see Javzo down that low, but good sign for Trolls and Kiwi, as we'll see if they're going to be able to keep it up. Of course, this is warm-up, so we haven't started the round yet. Yeah, I don't know if Javzo just had, you know, a couple rough rounds, a couple of kind of a poor map showing from them, but looking at this heat, I would expect them to be more towards the leading side of things.
Well, we'll see how things shake out as we go on the racetrack now for Zlotixo, Trolls, Kiwi, and Javzo for the first round out of 4. I'm assuming this is the first rotation of Magneton at the present moment. It will be Zlotix and Kiwi with a great start. Javzo in third, and Trolls, unfortunately, getting left a little bit behind. Might have gotten a bit too wide in some of the corners, and thus will find himself 2/10 down, although he's able to try and get some of that gap back at the end of sector number 1. Kiwi, Zlotix, Trolls actually making the move ahead of Javzo for P3, but that's only a very temporary move, as you can see, getting almost immediately attacked back for the 3rd place, and a huge crash on the exit of that corner from checkpoint 7 for Zlotixo, and you can see the speed difference that Trolls was able to carry through the bridge to move up into P2 ahead of Javzo, but will he be able to hold it until the end? That is the very, very big question indeed. Kiwi still in first by about 2/10. He has to clear the final corner. Trolls didn't clear the final corner and goes for the double bonk, and the pinball machine effect has struck very, very hard for the Belgian player. Kiwi wins with a .307, Javzo in second, Trolls in third, and Zlotixo, with many more problems behind, finds himself down in last place.
And that's just going to move Kiwi up to first place overall. Nice 6-point swing. 3-point disadvantage turns to a 3-point lead. 65-62 for our 2 front runners. But Javzo starting to kind of crawl back in. Obviously still 20 points behind first place. It's going to be a lot of work for the Dutchman. We'll see if they can continue that upward trajectory. But Zlotix as well. I mean, they're very fast on the start. Twice now they have opened this map in the lead, and you know, maybe this is the type of map where Zlotix can get themselves back in the running after 3 more rounds. 30 points gets them to 62. That would be nice as well. Javzo is who the camera is on. Javzo is the one trying to make their way through the ghosts as Zlotix is starting to drop back. It's Javzo now nearly in the lead, until the Swede finds a way up in front. Kiwi taking a P1, but everybody in the front 3 all within 0.04 of a second. We'll see how long that lasts, because Javzo tries to pull ahead, yet it's Trolls who now has a lead. 67 thousandths of a second between first to third. Now they finally start to spread out through the uphill until they chase it back. Trolls has problems, Javzo does not. P1 goes to the Netherlands. Javzo by .132, a 55.226. Very fast time for Javzo.
Yeah, Trolls just trying to make it safely through the final corner after the misadventure of the previous round, and unfortunately lifting a little bit too much, and that is what set off the comeback from both Javzo and Kiwi. Javzo getting the 10-pointer with a .226 at the line, and unfortunately for Trolls, the Belgian driver losing the best part of 6 points, not just 4. That's probably what hurts the most for Trolls, as he's still all the way past the halfway mark in the finalist status ranks, as we did see a little bit of a clip. I think it was from Zlotix, so yes, it is indeed the Polish driver who has conceded about half a second as a result of that small touch in sector number 1. Kiwi battling tooth and nail against both Trolls and Javzo for the benefit of first place. It will be a 27 millisecond gap between first and third as we go into that long right-hander, which has seen plenty of damage before the jump into checkpoint 7. Kiwi, the Swede, still in the lead, but look at the speed from Javzo going toe-to-toe against Kiwi. Going into Sector 3, it's still a very, very hotly contested battle for the 10-pointer awarded to first place. Kiwi still leading, but for how long? Will he be able to read it all the way through? Look at the speed from Javzo. It's going to be side-by-side almost. Javzo does get the snipe and makes it stick at the stripe with a .192, 42 milliseconds ahead of Kiwi. Trolls down to third. Zlotix again having a bit of a shocker of a round down to P4, and the poll is looking a little bit, the chances of the poll looking a little bit grim and more grim by the minute.
I want to call these rounds a coin flip because they're that close at the end, but there's no such thing as a three-sided coin. And if there is, it's an abomination and you should smelt it right away. Either way, though, yeah, Kiwi, Javzo, Trolls, they have just been going wheel to wheel, feels time and time again. And again, Zlotix at the start, they have the best start of the 4 drivers. I don't know what's been happening in the middle. They haven't been able to keep that going, but again, we see Zlotix out in front. They have a tendency to get chased down, usually starting around here, but if they can keep it clean, maybe they can get a very important 10 points to keep their hopes alive. Instead, yeah, again, they start to drop back through those initial uphills. Kiwi now will be able to overtake, and Trolls is right there with them. Javzo about a quarter second behind. They're going to need some mistakes from the front runners, but Zlotix is not making mistakes this time. They're going wheel to wheel, or they were until they go wide. That gives Kiwi a very easy P1. That 6 thousandths of a second, it's going to grow. Here we go, to the line. Trolls has the speed. Trolls has the snipe! 4 thousandths of a second! Trolls gets it done!
What a comeback from the Belgian for 4 milliseconds, a .189 to a .193, and he gets the 10-pointer that has been so elusive to him in the previous rounds, allowing him to get some of the gap back down compared to Kiwi, down to 3 points now as a result of that great snipe. And you were mentioning Javzo. I was focusing on him a little bit off camera, and even with mistakes from the front runners, there was no saving him. He actually crashed into checkpoint number 7, forcing himself to respawn at checkpoint 6. So yeah, there was no way there was going to be any save. And there was something mentioned in the chat about the Razi Coco Pika Ignite match that went into quad finalists. We do have the results for you. Ignite first, Pika second. So Razi and Coco have been knocked out of the tech solo tournament. A pretty I kind of wonder what the match looked like for the POV that might have been streaming up. I think there's a fairly solid chance that the French contingent might have streamed that match, even though Coco was in it. But still, wow, quad finalist on that match is certainly something to behold, as we're going to be going back to Chiaroscuro, which seems to have been the first map as well in the previous rotation. 83 for Kiwi, 80 for Trolls. It's still all up in the air, quote unquote, but Javzo is almost about to cross the point of no return with 68. He finds himself 12 down compared to Trolls, and the chances of having some gap to make up are going to be getting smaller and smaller as each round goes on.
I'm just in shock that Razi and Coco went out in the same round. Like, I obviously in that heat it could have happened, but that's a bit of a shocker. But that heat obviously was stacked, and they're only going to get tighter and tighter as we move forward. Here we go, though. They are continuing the battles here, and I mean, this one's getting pretty tight as well. Kiwi and Trolls, yeah, they've got a bit of a lead on Javzo, but we know Javzo has the speed to make things competitive on the latter end of these tracks, so I don't want to count them out yet. So far, so good, though, for the 3 front runners. No one well and truly out of it. Maybe Kiwi a bit more pace than the others, and Javzo is starting to fall behind, yet it's Trolls, though, who's going to take a couple risks, I think, to try and chase Kiwi down. Tight apexes, but not really holding the speed. In fact, they're going to fall back, yet it all can go pear-shaped if you can't stick the ending. Last couple corners, Javzo trying to chase him down, but it's Trolls, I think, who had a bit of the momentum. Javzo's out, Trolls slipping further back as well. Kiwi will hold on, P1, P2, and Javzo messes up the finish and goes all the way to P4.
And Kiwi with a .799, dipping into the .7s here on that particular run. Trolls finding himself again with Kiwi bringing the gap a little bit further ahead of himself, and getting to within 1 first-place finish of finalist status, sitting on 93. A second place will not do him any good, as Trolls still has a little bit of points to collect. And we do see Javzo again finding a very early blunder, and thus will find himself over a second down in P4. Zlotix also having some trouble, so it will be again down between the 2 front runners, Kiwi and Trolls. At the end of sector number 1, it will be the lead going to Sweden with a 10th and a half advantage over Belgium, going into the right-hander before checkpoint number 6, and then that sequence where you go from bank to flat, that very tight chicane as well, before going outside of the pole for a very acute right-hander downhill towards checkpoint 7 in the end of sector number 2. It's going to be still Kiwi in the lead and taking advantage of a bit of a lift of the left front wheel from Trolls, who lost a bit of grip and a bit of time as a consequence. The gap now almost half a second in favor of Kiwi as we go into the final corner. He can afford to save the final corner and the jump, and he will be clocking in still a very decent 0.778. Trolls half a second down, has absolutely no answer, as we do see Javzo in third and Zlotixo in P4. And with that, Kiwi gets his first uninterrupted attempt at finalist status.
Yeah, and I mean, could have 2 as well unless Trolls is able to find the win right here. So very good spot for Kiwi to be in. I am a little concerned though, because that was probably the largest discrepancy we've had between the 4 drivers in any of the heats that we covered. Actually, that last round, a bit of a shocker right there. Hopefully our drivers can make things close again. And well, so far through the first couple checkpoints, yeah, we're pretty tight. Zlotix again back up towards the front in P2, but no one is taking away P1 from Kiwi. Not just yet. The Swede doesn't want to mess around any more than necessary. They would love to finish it right here, but it is Trolls who is starting to find that momentum, trying to chase him down. Ooh, a little bit too sharp of a snap. Lost a bit too much speed. Now they're going to have to try again. A bit smoother this time, but it lets them go wide. That means tighter turns. That means an overtake perhaps for Trolls. Can they hold it? No, because they clipped the inside wall. That's a little bit of a shaky landing for Kiwi though as well. That allows Javzo to get into first place, and they've got a bit of a gap. It's an awkward slide for Javzo, but they make it work, and they'll take it to the finish. Javzo P1. Kiwi will have to try again, but they're still uninterrupted. No other finalists at the end of this round.
Yeah, and Trolls, that huge stoppage in the ramp transfer gets him down the last place. 5 seconds, that is such a costly mistake to do as well at that point of the track. Javzo coming in with the incredibly rare all-flat time, 101 flat. You can see it, not a single millisecond added, not one that has been subtracted. It's pretty rare to get these things, but yeah, it's always nice to see them, and I think it's worthy of pointing that out as we go into the final round of this rotation of Chiaroscuro, and Kiwi finalists take 2 starts now. So far, he's at the tail end of the field, but that field is very tightly knit together. 94 milliseconds between first and last at the moment. Currently at the head of the field is going to be Trolls, the Belgian, leading Javzo. Javzo, who finds himself under threat from Kiwi in third place, who just got ahead of Zlotixo, the man from Poland, finding himself down in last place. 2 tenths down compared to the leading trio make it now, with Javzo taking away the lead from Trolls. Kiwi still waiting in the wings, still waiting to pounce, still waiting for an aperture to kind of present itself to seize control of the round and try to validate the round win and first place, but it does not look like it is meant to be in this round or in this map altogether. Trolls moves on to finalist with a 0.827, and Javzo, for good measure, snipes Kiwi at the line by 12 milliseconds.
Yeah, Kiwi just unable to get it done at the end of that 4th round. So we're going to have 2 finalists moving forward. And oh boy, again, I have to emphasize, P1 is still important here. It gives you the easier matches in the brackets moving forward. You want to be winning your heats. It helps your confidence as well to knock it through and look clean. And yeah, this is when we joined this one, Geek, it looked like it was going to be one-sided, right? It looked like we kind of felt like Kiwi was running away with it. Okay, they've got this.
Yeah.
This has turned into a very interesting heat now. All of a sudden,
it looked to be a washout at first, and that is a perfect exemplification of not judging a book by its cover. Because even the matches that at first glance seem like, oh yeah, this is kind of like a foregone conclusion, most of the time, they're not. And that's what's really exciting, especially about Trackmania and Tech, because the gaps are so close. Any mistake can be extremely costly. And this is really what makes Tech so great to watch, because races are not decided until we get to the stripe and the checkered flag. It ain't over until it's over in Tech, as we go into the first round out of 4 and the first dual finalist round and the first face-off between Kiwi and Trolls.
Yeah, this is a big one right now. Both of them would love to just be done and dusted, not allow Javzo a chance to get back in this one, because let's be honest, if the Dutchman wins this round, 3 finalist situation at that point, who knows where we go from there. Fortunately for the 2 front runners, Javzo kind of a little bit behind, already a quarter second out of it, and it is a bit more wheel to wheel in the front. In fact, it's only 6,000ths, make that 15,000ths, make that a little bit more, 700ths of a second for Trolls, at least momentarily. They are so tight. Uphill though, into the transfer. This is where things tend to separate, and as Kiwi, who had a bit of a wider landing, Trolls keeps it a bit cleaner. They're gonna have the first shot at the finish, to the line. Trolls gets it done, and the Belgian takes P1.
P1 for Trolls after a great battle side by side almost towards the final few corners, but as you were able to point out, Trolls still having a little bit of a lead. Kiwi had a solid landing, but he lost that amount of time in the sequences of corners before the jump into checkpoint number 12, and that was just unassailable at that point, given how tightly knit and how similar the trajectories were towards the risky fin. Now, we have one more uninterrupted attempt for Kiwi before Javzo joins in the fray as finalist as well in Zlotic, so also looking to get some momentum back, or maybe try to go out with a bang if he feels like this might be the end of his chances here in the Tech Solo tournament, but we're going to have to wait and see as we go into sector number 2, the downhill right-hander on the sausage roll. Great attack of the corner from Kiwi. He's going to go side by side with Javzo into checkpoint 9, goes a bit wide, manages to keep the car on the gray stuff and keep it all on the road. Javzo still in the lead by 40 milliseconds, maybe looking to get it to double finalists and just keep the dream alive and extract one more round for Team Nederland as we go on to the final risky fin. Kiwi versus Javzo. It will not be enough. Kiwi threw everything at it. 27 milliseconds is the margin of victory for Javzo, who makes it a double finalist heading into the next round.
Oh, Kiwi has just been stuck at the last hurdle for so long, and now Javzo has a chance to overtake as well. For the past 2 rounds, it feels like Javzo has been, well, last round was the faster driver. Actually, the first round here, it definitely went Kiwi's way. Maybe Zlotic can make something happen here. Who knows? Maybe it's the miracle comeback coming, although I tend to doubt it. Javzo and Zlotic, they are the 2 front runners, and it is Zlotic pulling a little bit further ahead, but they are a bit wide in through these next couple corners. So Javzo will be out in front, but more importantly, I think Kiwi, I mean, they're falling back, or at least they were. Now they're chasing Javzo down, but no one's chasing down Zlotic. Zlotic might be keeping their hopes alive at this rate. Although they go wide, they hold the speed, they hit the wall, they're out. We're going to have a winner here. Kiwi has to chase down Javzo, but they've only got a couple more turns to do it. Uphill. Does he stick the transfer? Javzo goes deep, Kiwi goes shallow, and Javzo crashes out. Kiwi's got to do it. Just stick the ending. It's given drivers trouble in the past, but not this time. Kiwi gets P1. Kiwi advances.
I'm almost reeling from what we've seen, and Javzo instantly retiring. Oh, that is such a painful way to lose the spot and get knocked out of the tournament on your first finalist attempts to boot as well. Props to Trolls and to Kiwi. Kiwi with the resilience as well, not backing down, not giving up, managing to get through with it with a little bit of help from Lady Luck, it may be said, but still, like, you're through to the next phase. That's all that matters at this point. And also, to get back to our first match that we saw, mad props to Nero, and huge respect to Fane. I may have doubted a little bit, but honestly, the Lithuanian driver came in clutch and delivered some very solid rounds, Max.
Yeah, that they did. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I would love to stay and break it down, but we're a little bit, you know, under the pump right now. Like our drivers, we need to be starting hitting some PBs here. So we're going to throw it to a very quick break and then get right back into the action. So stick around. We got more lower bracket runs when we return.